Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Alec Walt Show. I'm your host, Alec Walt, alongside another very special guest, and today we're talking some New England Patriots football. Now, 2020 was a very weird year for New England Patriots fans. Obviously, it was year one without Tom Brady. The team finished 7-9, and we're so used to seeing this team play when the calendar turns, and this team did not play in the postseason. So Bill Belichick had a ton of money to spend this offseason. He had a crazy week last week. And to break down all the moves right now, joining us from WEEI Sports Radio is Nick Fitzy Stevens. Nick Fitzy, welcome, man. Welcome to the show.
Alec, I got to tell you, I am so freaking pumped. I am pumped and jacked like a shirtless Pete Carroll right now to be on this program because you just said this is episode 4. As a Star Wars geek growing up on the South Shore, you know what episode 4 is there, kid? You know what episode 4 is? Episode 4 is A New Hope, which is exactly what Belichick gave us last week when he went on the shopping spree of a lifetime. Now, Alec, I don't know if you heard the news that came out yesterday from Mike Reese from ESPN. You know, Mike Reese, he's about this big, but his stories are way big. He released, and he's the nicest man in the world. So he released the information that Belichick's free agent shopping spree was he spent as much money this past week as you would have needed to have bought the New England Patriots, let alone in 1994 when Robert Kraft bought the Patriots. Like, we're talking like you could have financed a Transformers movie, you could have bought like an entire city in Iowa, or you could have bought the Patriots in 1994. So Belichick was not screwing around. And if there's anything people in the NFL know, Alec, a scorned Bill Belichick is the worst Bill Belichick. FU mode engaged.
It's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to this year. I'm pumped to have you on. I'm pumped to talk Patriots. A lot of good, crazy things going on. Let's start at the top. Right before Monday, things started. He started spending a bunch of money. He went on the cheaper side and decided to bring back Cam Newton. What are your thoughts on him bringing back the quarterback?
At first, I was kind of like everybody else. I made all the same jokes, mostly to comfort myself through the awkwardness of Cam being the first significant acquisition or reacquisition for the 2021 Patriots. Because let's face it, most of our lives over the past 13 months have been like Cam Newton trying to throw a forward pass in 2020, a complete disaster. Now, so I did the same thing everyone else did, like, oh, that's great. Maybe they'll institute the bounce pass this year so Cam will be more effective. Belichick always playing chess while other people play checkers. And that did come on the heels, though, of bringing back big bad Trent Brown, who is part man, part monolith. Oh, yeah. I call him a manolith because he's so large. He blocks two things: people and the sun. And I mean, he's just human. I'm 6'2". I met him at the Super Bowl 53 parade, and I had to look up to him and extend my arm as high as I could, almost like a little kid meeting like a soldier hopping off a boat. Like, oh, way to go, mister! Nice to meet you. He's just enormous. So Trent Brown comes back, then Cam resigns. And there was this initial feeling of, sorry, this is a triggering word in Patriots Nation, deflation amongst the fans, because everybody thought like, wow, the rumors are true. Everything that we heard from the Mike Giardis and the other trusted resources, Tom Curran, Phil Perry, like they still love Cam. But we don't love Cam as much. I mean, we love Cam the person. We love the fancy outfits, and we love the hype videos, and we love the post-game interviews. Like, he batted 1,000 off the field. But what was it that Belichick and McDaniels saw that made you think it was a good idea to bring him back? And you can look at it threefold. One, obviously, it's a testimonial to the lack of weaponry, offensive talent, and assets they had around him, which they addressed toot sweet 3 days later. Two, obviously, they believe that while Cam is shall we say, shade bit deficient in his ability to matriculate the ball down the field using his right arm, there's a certain set of intangibles, leadership qualities, and emotional energy that he projects that the team could still use in some capacity. And three, the market kind of sucks otherwise. I mean, you can't get Jimmy G's not going to shake free anytime soon, probably not before draft night, as much as Belichick loves him. Jacksonville's not going to part ways with the guy I was hoping maybe they'd take a run at Gardner Minshew, as I like to call him, because I guess he's going to sit behind Trevor Lawrence, which stinks for him. But So all in all, Belichick needed heading into free agency. He needed Alec, he needed a floor. Like they had to be able to assure other people like, look, we think Cam can do better. We didn't give him good weapons last year. That's why we're pitching this to you. We're going to make this a quarterback-friendly destination by getting these receivers and these tight ends, and we're going to build the largest offensive line in history. It's going to be positively Greco-Roman in its size and stature. So, like, come on board. So they got all the pieces in place to be able to then go on the free agent frenzy.
Looking at the tight end position, Cam Newton's a guy that loved to throw to Greg Olsen when he was with the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
Now, this year, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. I mean, I was not expecting Henry, especially after signing Smith that day before. But give me your thoughts here. I mean, yes, the Ravens are improved, and they had one of the worst tight end rooms in the league last year. And now they have two guys coming in on some pretty hefty contracts that massively improve their presence in the middle.
Alec, I don't know if your parents or your friends say this about you, but you are just too kind. Calling the Patriots tight end room one of the worst rooms in the NFL last year is you being a true gentleman. They were friggin' awful. It was the single worst positioning group, the single worst positional group in franchise history and in the league last year. And what they were, the magic trick the Patriots pulled off last year, they were like, see our 2019 tight end room, it's the worst in the league. What if I told you next year we could make it twice as worse as we did last year? They literally drafted 2 tight ends in the 3rd round in 2020. And if you add those 2 numbers up, 2 tight ends, 3rd round, that makes 5. That's the number of catches that Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi had combined last year. I mean, it was brutal, dude. It was absolutely seeing that positional group struggle was as frustrating and difficult to watch as an overinvested midlife super fan like myself as it was watching Cam just try to get the ball to somebody in the flats outside or down the field in desperation. It was really frustrating. So to see Belichick go after the top 2 tight ends in the market, showing incredible respect with the size of the paychecks he had, Mr. Kraft, hand out in guarantees alone to Jonnu Smith, who is an athletic freak. I mean, Belichick had him in on a 2017 pre-draft visit, so he's always followed his career. He whiffed on drafting him. We got Derek Rivers and Antonio Garcia instead, who neither of which is anywhere near Foxborough these days. Missed out on Chris Godwin, Kareem Hunt, Jonnu Smith, but I digress. Now you can write a check and you can make up for your past, which is what Belichick did last week. Jonnu Smith is a freakish athlete, great after the catch, nose for the end zone. He says all he wants to do is work. If you see him without his shirt on, it's almost NSFW. The guy looks like he works out at Body by 300 with the rest of the Spartans, man. Like he is just ripped and ready. And then Hunter Henry's the other guy he's been following since his high school days with that famous high school coach. You ever heard of that guy? The high school football coach who refuses to punt?
The high school football, who is that?
I don't know his name. He's kind of a legend in football geekdom circles. So That's the high school that Hunter Henry went to. And Belichick has long admired the style and the gumption and the forward thinking of that coach. And then he saw Hunter Henry and kept in touch with him. So now Belichick made good on that long, awkward hug and embrace that he had with Hunter Henry following the 45-0 beatdown of the Chargers last December, and gives himself his favorite formation. Now the Patriots can run 12 formation, 12 personnel all day, which is 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 5 on the line, quarterback, and a single back setting. Because it just with 2 wide receivers, two versatile wide receivers, and there's some versatility there. They still don't have someone who really takes the top off, but there's possession receivers galore, and we'll see what Agholor can do. But with Smith and Hunter Henry now, you can, because they have like the speed and hands of wide receivers, but they're big enough to almost be like a guard on the outside. Belichick's going to be able to go back to doing what he loves most, which is just deceiving you at the line and being able to call the right play, which goes against whatever defense they just called. Versatility, even Cam Newton. I feel like I'm running an infomercial now. Like Belichick's tight ends are so great, even Cam Newton can't screw it up.
Well, talking about those targets, you mentioned Agholor. Kendrick Bourne was another guy they added. Give me your thoughts on how Agholor and Bourne are going to fit this offense.
I wanted to ask you, what was your I know what everyone at the radio station I worked at said. I know what all of like the writers that I follow or know said. I know what all the other semi-inebriated massholes that I go to Foxborough with and that I call my best buddies all said. And that was pretty much the same thing. Like, come on, you got to do better than that. Were you excited? Are you one of those guys? Because I know a few that are really good. Like, I know some younger draft nicks and analysts, aspiring Field Yates and sort of Todd McShay types who all kept saying the same thing. Hey, hold on a second. Give Cam a second chance. He was much better, believe it or not, than you think you saw last season.
So I wasn't thrilled when we brought Cam back. The numbers when I originally saw were a little
circle of trust here, Alec. It's okay. You can be honest.
Yeah, so I didn't like him when I originally signed it. Once they released the official cap number and it's just around $5 million, I didn't oppose it. Once we brought in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, and he had the tight ends he could throw the ball to, plus Trent Brown, who's a beast on the line of scrimmage. Look at the Patriots' offensive line right now. From left to right, I mean, now with Andrews back, they got one of the meanest run-blocking offensive lines in the league. So, where's Cam strong? He likes to throw to tight ends, and he can run in the red zone. He's a guy that had 12 rushing touchdowns last year. So when I looked at this situation, I hated it at the beginning. I relaxed a little bit once I saw the numbers. And then once Bill brought in those specific pieces that Cam needed to be successful, I started to like it a little bit more. I still don't love the fact that he's the quarterback. I like that. I don't trust that he can remain consistent through 17 games. I'm a little bit concerned because he's shown that ability in the past to die down during the season. But he's going to remain protected. We'll see if he can reach those guys down the field. But I'm a little bit more lax than I was a couple days ago on Cam Newton, even though I still don't think we have the best QB for this offense right now.
There we go. There we go, Alec. That's what I'm talking about. Trust the process, right? Believe in Bill. Hail to the hoodie and trust the process.
Yep.
So there's so much to unpack there too, because, like you said, with those tight ends, he used to throw to Greg Olsen. Cam can still throw a dart down the middle. Like he's got this weird throwing motion. It's a combination of his throwing motion, him being a better intermediate to deep ball thrower, though we've seen his deep ball now has limitations because he couldn't even hit the end zone last year to Izzo against Houston when they needed it most. He throws the ball almost like a javelin or a dart overhand, so he's not great at the dump-offs and the short passes that Brady just used to take people to school with that he made a clinic out of on a regular basis. But with the tight ends over the middle, and we'll see about some of these receivers, maybe they can get the most out of Cam, who hopefully now will have a full offseason, which the Patriots also believe that they kind of deprived him of last year, signing him on June 28th versus getting him in the first week of March. And now saying, okay, you got the whole entire offseason to, decipher that calculus and figure out exactly what that playbook is, which I've had many people tell me isn't as complicated as other people would have believed it to have been. The offensive line, there is depth and size and skill galore.
Oh, yeah.
Trent Brown, 380 pounds on a good day. That's when he had salad for a week. And now you could either have Isaiah Wynn kick inside to left guard, or maybe you throw Mike Onwenu over there, who had an amazing rookie season.
Oh, yeah.
Now that Joe Thuney went and got that bag from the Chief.
Good for him.
Yeah, and good for him, too. I know. There was a great tweet last week from someone. This kid, Keegan Stifle, who's a great writer for Pat's Pulpit. He said, he's like, man, Joe Thuney's got it the best. One day he's going to be able to tell his kids, I spent my entire career and got paid a shitload of money blocking for Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
What a life.
Now
we go to Andrews in the middle. Bear is back on a pretty team-friendly deal, which is sweet on top of it all. Emotional team leader, team captain, and, just a steady center. He's a rock in the middle. Now you go Shaq Mason on the right-hand side. And then who knows who you have on the outside? Maybe it could be that kid Kajus who finally comes through. It could be Justin Herron, who was a bit of a revelation last year. Or maybe that's where Onwenu is with Isaiah Wynn, who's fighting for a job after he's been injured the better part of his first 3 seasons. So you could easily see the better part of 1,700 pounds coming at you whenever they decide to hand the ball off to Damian Harris and Sony Michel. And my early prediction for that rushing attack this year between the two of them is going to be 1,600 yards. That's like, if I could go to Vegas right now, I would definitely go to Vegas because it's warmer than Boston. And,
yeah, a little bit.
and I'm dying to have a margarita outside. But 2, I think they're going to just run and run and run. And the play action, if you can get these guys going behind that mammoth bro line this year, it'll set things, it'll make it that much easier for Cam because he's going to have tight ends that can separate, who have great hands and world-class speed, and those receivers we just mentioned. the combination of Jacoby Myers, who's sneaky good, a
Forgot about him.
great route runner. I absolutely love that kid. There's one of those guys where I'm like, I got to tell you, I might be getting the kids a Jacoby Myers jersey. Like, he's got some of that Deion Branch, Troy Brown, like something about you makes you one of my favorite all-time Patriots written all over him. Kendrick Bourne, apparently, everybody who knows something or a lot more about football and crushes all 22 the same way I crush IPAs says this guy is just going to be a monster for the Pats. He's a perfect receiver for what they do. Doesn't have elite speed, great hands, possession receiver, team player. The question mark, like you brought up earlier, Nelson of Agholor. Which one are we getting, Alec? Are we going to get the Agholor that didn't live up to his potential and was the butt end of 3 out of every 4 jokes for the Eagles a couple years ago? Or are we going to get the guy who like blew up last year with the Raiders?
I'm really hoping we get the one from the Raiders. Knowing Bill Belichick, he has a pretty good success with some players who are looking to turn around. So I was impressed with Agholor last year. I think we gave him a little bit more money than I thought we were going to. $11 million per year is a lot, especially when you don't know how much he's going to get the ball with how this offense is going to use. Again, you mentioned before, power run, throw to the tight ends. What does that mean for a guy who's making $11 million or so out on the outside? But I will say, Agholor broke a personal record last year for yards per reception. They want to get the ball down the field, kind of throw it over the top. It looks like he is on pace to possibly do that next year in New England.
Yeah, he had almost 19 yards a catch last season, which is an insane amount of yards per catch. He either led the league or was second in the league last year, which he took the top off last year. And I think the Raiders were expecting Henry Ruggs, the rookie out of Alabama, who's like Tyreek Hill-esque, not in personality, hopefully, but in his speed and size. I think they were expecting him to be able to do what Agholor ultimately did. So Agholor had the perfect kind of year. And if Cam Newton had the same kind of year, he'd be getting paid crazy money too. But instead, he's getting backup money, and he's got a shot to win a job in New England. But Agholor got paid a bag because he got $1 million last year for the Raiders, almost had 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and just far surpassed everyone's expectations. Now, can he come here and drag coverage down the field? Now, can he take the top off when they need him to? Maybe he's going to be the guy with that speed and his maneuvers to be used like in that jet sweep or whatever. I mean, Jonnu Smith also likes to be a running back as well. So now you have, just think about all the toys Josh McDaniels has now, his little fantasia of all the plays that he can get into. Now he can look past the, Dighton Rehoboth High School / Navy midshipman offense he was forced to run last year with no good receivers and a limited Cam Newton. Now he has a playbook that he can use with options galore. And it's a good point by you too. Agholor did get overpaid. Bill Barnwell had a piece today for ESPN. It was behind a paywall. I just took everyone's word that it was well written. But talking about free agency contracts he didn't like very much. And I think it can be safely assumed, though we have obviously yet to see the production to come from Agholor, which sounds, I hope his season is as awesome as his last name, because his last name sounds like a world outside of Westeros from Game of Thrones. So let's hope he lives up to it and gets us pumped up. But the Patriots obviously thought, as free agency began, that the wide receiver market, though there were a few teams that had the kind of money that they did, was going to be crazy. As it turned out, the only thing crazy last Monday was giving Nelson Agholor 2 years for $22 million, because it took until the weekend for Kenny Golladay to get wildly overpaid by the Giants. But otherwise, like Curtis Samuel got 3 years with like $11 million per season to go back to his old coach, Riverboat Ron from Carolina, now with Twift, the Washington football team, and play with Terry McLaurin. I mean, that's a guy I would have loved to have seen, because those offensive Swiss Army types who can run, who can catch, who can go deep, who can go short, over the middle, they're unicorns, man. They don't grow on trees. So Belichick overpaid for him. There's no two ways around it. But if he gives you, let's say right now, let me throw you a floor for Agholor. 45 catches, 800 yards, 8 touchdowns, just like last year. What would you say?
I mean, I would take it. I think that's great. I think that's an $11 million receiver. No, but when I look at the situation right now, like 45 catches, I think that's, not a bad number. Again, like we mentioned before, running game. He's going to throw a lot to the tight ends. We're going to see how much that goes to Agholor. But, if he could get 800 yards off that many catches, plus be that effective in the red zone with those 2 monster tight ends and his ability to run into the end zone, I would love that. Again, do I think it's worth $11 million? No, but I think it would make a massive difference on this offense.
Yeah, I mean, if he can have as many touchdown passes as Cam Newton threw, period, last year,
yeah, that too.
That would be a massive improvement. That would mean the Patriots have a downfield threat. That means the Patriots actually have a legitimate deep game in 2021. You didn't have to, it's almost like the way teams were able to defend the Patriots going down the stretch is like a dad playing basketball in a driveway against his 7-year-old. You don't have to respect the 7-year-old's post game. Come on. You have 2.5 feet on him. What are you worried about? With the Patriots last year, they had no deep game. They weren't worried about Cam trying to go 30 or 40 yards down the seam. That was just absolutely impossible. Now maybe that's an option. But again, this isn't guaranteed to be Cam's job just yet, Alec. In his contract, it said the Patriots, there's no guarantee that they won't either trade for another quarterback or draft one. And there's some draft rumors about some studs coming up. It could be an open competition. For all we know, we might be talking about the legend of Studham come this September being the starter. Who knows?
So if you're Belichick and you're on the clock with pick number 15, say Trey and Mac are available, would you seriously consider taking one of them with one of those two picks?
Are you kidding me?
I would do it in a heartbeat.
When you go to all-you-can-eat taco night, do you only eat one taco, Alec? No, you do not. You do not. I assume that you like tacos. You're an American. You're good. Absolutely. Yeah. Good boy, my guy. So, it's so what they do at 15 this year, look, what do we know about Bill Belichick? Belichick is the master of the draft zag, right? Whenever we think he needs to zig, a couple years ago, needs a tight end, what does he do? Takes a wide receiver that we're told is going to be the new Anquan Bolden, but turns out to be the latest, Taylor Price and Chad Jackson and N'Keal Harry, who's a bust on wheels. Last year, they need to get a wide receiver because N'Keal Harry he kind of sucks. So what do? End up taking two tight ends that nobody thought would ever go to the Patriots. Now he needs a quarterback. So what's he going to do? Probably draft another offensive lineman and take a cornerback we've never heard of or that played either at Navy, Rutgers, or Alabama, right? I'm thinking if there's a way. So I've heard they're interested in two quarterbacks. And one of them is not Trey Lance, though his physical skill set is tantalizing to say the least because he looks like he can do everything and he loves football and you can't teach that, right? So we heard the guys in the NFL Network, Daniel Jeremiah, who knows more about forgot more about the draft today than both of us know combined. He said he's hearing that Justin Fields might be their guy. I heard from someone else who heard from, a little back channel to the Kraft family action that they may be enamored with Zach Wilson. The trick is it's going to be impossible for the Patriots to get Zach Wilson, who I love and think is going to be fantastic. He just has the moxie, the leadership, the energy, moves really well, throws from all over the field. He looks fearless. He looks like he has the it factor, which the Patriots, let alone the Boston sports scene in general, have been so sorely lacking over the past year and a half since Brady left with no Gronk. And what the hell are the Celtics doing? That's a whole different podcast. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I know. But I love Zach Wilson, but it looks like the Jets may get him. Now, if the Jets decide we think we can still win with Darnold, he was poisoned by the radioactive fart cloud that was Adam Gase. Let's give him a second chance. Hey, Ryan Tannehill got out from underneath Adam Gase. Look what happened to him. The Tannissance began, and he became a well-paid stud, and he's a really good starter in the NFL now. So maybe Darnold could be their answer, in which case they take a receiver or they take offensive line early on. Then at number 3, Miami probably takes a receiver or offensive line, which means there's a chance Zach Wilson could fall to 4. And Atlanta probably is not going to take a quarterback, though they could use one in their succession plan for Matt Ryan, but they just restructured him. And I think they can get another couple of good years. It's not time to grab the next Matt Ryan. If there's any chance that Zach Wilson could fall to 4, you get right on the phone immediately with Atlanta and you just say, here's what I got. And they say, we need this. And you try to play meet me in the middle. And I think that's how they could get him. Otherwise, to get Justin Fields, you'll probably have to hope he falls to 7, which is possible. And then you get on the phone with Detroit and you talk them into Captain Kneebite there, their new coach, Dan Campbell, like, we're going to bite off your knees. Is this Belichick? If you give me a bad deal, I'm going to bite off your knees too, bro. You get on, see it. You just tell them like, no, man, you guys, You guys have Jared Goff. You don't need Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Here, we'll give you a couple draft picks. Let us take that burden of another quarterback off your hands, guys. That's how I say they do it. Otherwise, Belichick will trade back.
Yeah, probably. We'll get to 15, get all excited, then he'll move back and make us wait a whole other day to see who ends up wearing red, white, and blue.
Yeah, that sound, Alec. It'll be like da 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 da. And then Goodell will walk up there all barrel-chested and full of goose fat and obnoxiousness and bullshit, and he'll be like, "We're the 15th pick in the NFL draft. The Patriots have traded with the Kansas City Chiefs," and then just like you'll just hear all the Pats fans like, "Oh, come on, Belichick! I had a draft crush on this guy I never watched play linebacker in college, but a bunch of other people that have a ton of Twitter followers told me I need to be in love with. Come on, bro!"
Oh, you did that perfectly, by the way. Absolutely, you nailed it. You nailed what the Boston sports fan is like on draft night.
Oh, we are as insufferable as our coach, as the weather and the general demeanor of everyone around here who thinks that they're better than everyone else. We're the worst. But here's the thing. We're the best at being the worst, and that's why we're awesome, right? Hey, you're a Pats fan, Alec. You apologize for nothing in this life.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You are spot on there, Fitzy. Absolutely spot on. Now, I have one more question before we let you go.
Yes, sir.
Last year, we didn't make the playoffs.
I know.
This year, Bill's making it clear that he wants to get back. Is this team ready to make a playoff run or not?
As presently constituted, I would say yes, the Patriots are a playoff team. But let's pump the brakes a little bit about getting fired up for Super Bowl 56, a.k.a. Super Bowl Ragnarok, New England Patriots and Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There is literally nothing like – that's why I call it Ragnarok from like the Thor movie, fabled in Norse times to be the end of days for all mankind. Because I can't imagine a sporting event, a football game, or in anything I would want to watch more that would just rattle us all to the core and shake the pillars of heaven more than Brady versus Belichick in the Super Bowl. But to get there, the Patriots are going to have to go through one hell of a tough road.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the good news is, according to Louis Riddick, in the last decade or so, the team that has spent the most and been the most aggressive in free agency has seen an uptick average of about 5 wins the next season. Now, the Pats had a hard luck 7-9 last year. Let's say they take the Louis Riddick 5 and they win that extra 17th game that should be on the schedule this year. That would be, so the Patriots would then go from 7-9 to 13-4. That's at least wild card. If not, you're battling the Bills for the division. You're looking to battle the Bills and take back the crown that you used to call yours. Okay, that Brady gently laid down on an avocado mousse pillow before he left town about a year ago. So now the Patriots can compete for their division. They can compete in the playoffs, but can they be a Super Bowl team? You'd want to say, well, they're only going to go as far as Cam can take them, but we don't know who that other someone is going to be that'll be competing for starting quarterback reps. So are they a playoff team right now? Absolutely. Can they go to the Super Bowl? That's to be determined. I'm just excited about the fact that the Patriots are relevant again, that Bill Belichick gave me my favorite Monday, non-post Super Bowl division of Mondays in maybe my lifetime. I mean, like, last Monday was, the free agency frenzy Monday as a Patriots fan was like the equivalent of growing up in Boston, your dad coming home from work early one day and just being like, all right, hit the car, kids. We're going to go get ice cream, play mini golf, and go to the arcade. And then it's pizza for dinner. And you're like, have I died and gone to heaven? This is the greatest day of my life. Belichick finding all the players. We have a team again, Alec. He has addressed all the gaping holes that have come through with opt-outs, retirement, age, and most notably, a couple of bad drafts in recent year. Now the Pats are competitive. The defense should be markedly better. They got a brand new defensive line, an awesome secondary, and some people that can rush the passer. And on the other side, like we said, the bro line, legitimate receivers, 2 tight ends, a questionable quarterback, but a lot of draft picks to come. So Super Bowl might be on the table, my man. And I got to tell you, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Is it September yet? Let's go.
Let's go. Well, I'll be counting down the days till September. I cannot wait to see what Belichick does in the draft, how Cam looks this offseason, and of course, week 1 of the NFL season. So, Fitzy, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to join the Alec Walt Show.
Oh, listen, Alec, like I said, man, we're on episode 4. It gives us a new hope. And, until then, enjoy the rest of the off season. Keep that phone in hand. You never know. Like, I don't go anywhere with mine's like, I'm an addict now. Like, I'm constantly refreshing, like, more moves. Do we have more moves? Do we have more moves? Who knows? The draft is only in a month and a half. And
crazy.
Then, next thing you know, baseball and good weather are occupying your days as you make your way to the mini camps and then training camp. And before you even know it, it'll be September. They'll be kicking off. And we'll have dreams of watching a championship game played out with our favorite guys in the handsomest uniforms in sunny Los Angeles, California.
I hope so. Let's hope we can get that Belichick-Brady Super Bowl. Let's at least get to the playoffs first. Let's have an exciting season. So, Fitzy, I can't wait. Thank you enough again for joining the show.
All the best, Alec. Thanks so much. Take care, buddy. Go Pats.
Hey, go Pats, baby. That's going to be it for this episode of the Alec Walt Show. I'm Alec Walt alongside Fitzy from WEEI Sports Radio in Boston. We talk some New England Patriots today. What do you think about the Patriots offseason? Feel free to comment that below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Down the Block Sports. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Go Patriots.